2 Corinthians chapter 9. God loves a cheerful giver. This passage from 2 Corinthians chapter 9 emphasizes the principles of cheerful and generous giving, highlighting the spiritual blessings and impact that result from such generosity. Paul encourages the Corinthians to give willingly from their hearts, assuring them of God's abundant grace and blessings as they support the needs of fellow believers and contribute to the work of God. The passage underscores the fellowship of giving, thanksgiving, and glorifying God, ultimately pointing to the profound gift of salvation through Christ. Exegesis by sections and verses. Verses 1 to 5. Ministering to the saints, and preparing for generosity. In these verses, the Apostle Paul addresses the Corinthians' willingness to contribute to the needs of the saints. He commends their previous readiness and zeal in helping the Macedonians. However, he expresses his intention to send brethren to ensure that the Corinthians' preparations are not in vain. He doesn't want their previous boasting to become a source of embarrassment if they are found unprepared. Paul urges them to fulfill their promise of a generous gift, willingly and not reluctantly. He emphasizes the importance of generosity as a matter of the heart, rather than an obligation. Verses 6 to 9. The principle of sowing and reaping. Paul introduces a metaphor of sowing and reaping to illustrate the principle of giving. He states that those who sow sparingly, give little, will reap sparingly, while those who sow bountifully, give generously, will reap bountifully. He encourages the Corinthians to give with a cheerful heart, not reluctantly or out of compulsion. Paul assures them that God loves a cheerful giver and that God's grace can abound in their lives, providing sufficiency for every good work. He alludes to the idea that their generous giving will lead to blessings and abundance. Verses 10 to 15. Blessings of generosity, and the impact of giving. Paul continues to emphasize the blessings of generosity. He prays that God, who provides seed for sowing and bread for food, will also multiply the seed that the Corinthians have sown, and will increase the fruits of their righteousness. This imagery highlights the idea that their acts of giving will have a fruitful impact. Paul acknowledges that their generous contributions not only meet the needs of the saints, but also lead to thanksgiving and glorification of God. The Corinthians' willingness to share is seen as an obedience to the gospel of Christ and a demonstration of God's grace within them. Paul mentions the prayers and longing of those who benefit from the Corinthians' generosity. He concludes with a declaration of thanks to God for his indescribable gift, referring to the ultimate gift of salvation through Christ. Overall summary. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 encourages cheerful and generous giving, illustrating the principle of sowing and reaping, and highlighting the positive impact of generosity on both the givers and receivers. Paul's message emphasizes the spiritual aspects of giving and underscores the idea that God's grace and blessings abound when believers give with the right heart and attitude.